for nature for a daily update TV so South and share and I say and then our first time I share so I need book and so now I subscribe. I think you need to be an should be a notification of phone so no I shall so many videos of share more down for so and you better for me and go to the issue. Okudzeto na aba abɔnten ne nsɛm na ɔka no emu ɔremie paa wei video a yɛkɔ akɔhwɛ na ɛbɛrɛ na ɔkasa no ɛna ɔlist some hotels bi police barrier ɛne doctors for bungalows ne adeade a seesei no aban no atɔn a obiara kora mpo anim wei nyɛ hotels nko ara na aban no atɔn a amanfoɔ dwen sɛ bia ɛno nko ara na ɛyɛ aban no nko ara ɛhyɛ ase ɔmpɛ sɛ ɔmde bɛnkyɛmpɔn hyɛ ne na ɔmotɔn ma ɛyɛ bɛnkyɛmpɔn no na sika ɔmo si tɔn ade na ama bɛnkyɛmpɔn kan like asɛ deɛ ɔmo de ade no ɛkyɛ no nti wei nyinaa yɛ ntorɔ because ade a yɛtɔn ama no ɛyɛ ne deɛ sisi na mmom profit a ɔmbɛnya firi ɛyɛ hotel no so no saa profit na ɔde abɛtua saa hotel no so wei no yɛde akyɛw anaasɛ yɛmfa nkyɛw wei yɛ adeɛ yɛ Okudzeto aba abɔnten nti sɛ wabɛgu ɛyɛ Akufo-Addo ɛne ɛyɛ bɛnkyɛmpɔn anim ase paa na ɔka nkyɛm sɛ ɔbɛma ɔmo show down paa wei kora mpo yɛ ne nketewa ɔma ne some days bi ɔama abɔnten yɛ Akufo-Addo ama abɔnten ama reply na anaasɛ wɔngyae nkurɔfoɔ no mpɛ sɛ anaasɛ NPP no mpɛ sɛ ɔmotɔ saa ɛyɛ hotels na deɛ ɛyɛ demonstration ɔbɛsa yɛ biom no deɛ ɛno adeɛ no kora mpo sua so kam ne nkɔhwɛ saa video na ɛyɛ Okudzeto aba abɔnten bɛka no yɛbaa ne dɛm nkɔmmɔ.
You are aware that the Parks and Gardens land has been sold? They have called me that they went to work one day and they were told that some people showed up. They are the new owners. Prisons. Go to prisons near the Osu runabout, the barracks.
Johnny Hughes has been doing exposés on them.
They have given them up to July to vacate. That they've sold it to private developers. Go to airport all the way to DVLA and all of that. All of that tracts of land. Huge tracts of land, that whole swath of land is all gone. You know, so the impunity. Look, there are doctors, Ridge Hospital and others, who are telling us that their bungalows have been sold. They now have to go and live far away. If there's an emergency, how do they help us? How do they cope? There are chief directors, judges. They get letters. You have 2 weeks to move. We have sold.
They came to complain to you?
Yes. We have sold the land. Move. You have 2 weeks. And we will rent for you 1 year. And just go around. Or look, and to think that colonialists, who we always condemn, and I join in that condemnation, that they came here to loot, to rape, and to just plunder. Even they, when they were putting up ministries, they knew that civil servants must live close to the ministries, and carved out land at Labone, cantonments, Rich, to make sure that there's good proximity. People who are working in the ministries, so that you can go to work conveniently. If there's an emergency, there's a national and an urgent situation, you can get to work early. You can be called at any point in time. All of that land is gone, and we are pushing everybody far away. Civil servants, chief directors have to now be coming from work from Kaswa, Gomoa, and other places. Why are we doing that? So there's a bigger issue of how state assets are being plundered, are being raped, are being pilfered, and it cannot be allowed to continue. What country are we building? How would the next generation see us? The state capture must stop, and that is what this crusade is about, and that is why thousands of Ghanaians are pouring onto the streets. And President Akufo-Addo should comply with our petition. He has no choice. Look, in the next few days, if we don't hear from President Akufo-Addo that he is stopping this sale, he has the authority, he has the power. His appointees who are selling as SNIT are his people. He appointed them. He has power over them. Those buying are his people. He has power over them. He should tell them to back off and keep this state asset for all of us, for Ghanaian workers. If it is good for Bra-Champo, it can be good for all Ghanaians. He should not hesitate. Look, already I can confirm to you that we have received formal invitations from the chiefs and people of the Central Region. They say that they are impressed with what the Ghanaians. Yes. If in the next few days we don't hear clearly from President Akufo-Addo that he's stopping this transaction, our next action will be in the Central Region. We will heed the calls we are receiving from the chiefs and people of the Central Region that they want Elmina Beach Hotel protected. Already, Edina Traditional Council, Omanhene Kojo Kondia, has written formally to protest against the sale. the people of Cape Coast, Ogwa, who are complaining about the takeover of Ridge Royal, we are saying that we will embark on probably a much bigger demo than what we have done in Accra if the president does not step in to make sure that these hotels are not sold. I thought that after our petition to SHείμ, the president will have called his people to order, but rather documents were intercepted. They were going ahead, trying to finalize the deal. Despite the SHείμ,
well, someone who says
despite the SHείμ
is an independent institution, and the company Rock City itself also has that right by way
there's
of...
nothing independent about SNIT. Okay. There's nothing independent about SNIT.
So,
the president appoints them.
By way of their composition, you say?
They are a state institution, majority of the board, which really even has to change. We have to change the SNIT law. Majority should be organized labor reps. We must also make sure that if the president is appointing the CEO for proper checks and balance, at least labor should appoint the board chair. This situation where presidents appoint the board chair, majority on the board,
that should change. CEO we'll come that.
Has to
now,
change.
Let's get a recall of Brian Echampo. It's not very often he's spoken on this matter. And then I'll come back and get a response from Okudzeto Ablakwa on what his position is on this whole brouhaha.
Get the agreement between the two of them, okay? And it is only when they are not able to fulfill that arrangement is when they can come back to their now new buyer and say that, okay, we now can go ahead with the deal. So that is what the transaction is. Nothing has been infringed. The way I have been briefed and the way it has been presented, nothing has been breached. They have written to them. And if they want to take it and they take it, there will be no deal. So if the private sector person has been offered at $3 million and accepted, and which is for every 25% share is equivalent to $1 million, and SNIT is also offered the same $1 million, wherein lies the shortchanging. So the fact that you have a value of an item at 8.4, and you go into negotiations and achieve 7.4, because the benchmark on the market is really what the private sector person has offered, at least at the best minimum. Wherein lies the strong words of shady meetings, bizarre preferential treatment, and unholy alliance. Sammy, knowing this, will you still use these words?
Let me read from page 2 of the intercepted meeting.
So it will not be surprising if this goes through. He still is insisting that as far as he is related, it's an independent company or an entity that is incorporated within our laws doing legal business. And
this is not really part of this. The transaction is not involved directly. It doesn't do day to day. And yet he's the only one defending this deal all over the place. Where are the actual people he says are the ones going ahead with this transaction, doing the negotiations and all of that? Have you heard any of them? He is Rock City and Rock City is him. So this is a clear confirmation. Look, this deal is bad. It stinks to the high heavens. Are you aware that even the procurement laws of our country were breached? What they set out to do is not what they did. They said they were going to divest 60% from 6 hotels. They allowed Rock City to choose 4 of the juiciest. He says he doesn't like Buzia, he doesn't like Trust Lodge, and that is out. As soon as you do that, and organized labor has made this in their 20th May statement they read out to the press. They've made this point, that they ought to have started afresh because that disadvantaged other bidders in the process. So there was no regard for our procurement laws. Then we are also raising issues with value for money. There is no value for money. And in this interview, I confronted him with that unholy alliance, the track record he has. When he was purchasing 25% of SNIT shares in Grand Regency in Kumasi, what was known as Kumasi Catering Guest House. It's for Ghanaian workers. We must get value for money. Then if you will not respect the valuation, why do we spend money to do valuation? Are you aware that this transaction, this sale of hotels, already we have paid $491,000 to a transaction advisor? if you know you will not listen to the transaction advisors, you won't respect the evaluation. Why should we spend so much money to engage them if we are not going to respect the valuation? Are you aware that the 4 hotels, the transaction advisors, the valuation report, copies of which I have, are clear that the valuation of the 4 hotels should be $121 million. Rock City is offering only $61 million. I mean, so even in terms of value for money, we don't have any value for money. Take La Palm Royal. The valuation report says that it should go for $47 million. The Honorable Branch Champions Rock City is offering $31 million. Way below the valuation. Take Elmina. Elmina Beach's valuation is that at least bare minimum, the floor price should be $7 million. He's offering $2 million. So even in terms of value for money, we are not getting value for money. So no matter how you look at it, constitutional provisions, procurement laws, value for money, I mean, good corporate governance. Look at the arm twisting that went on. It had to take the minority shareholders at Ridge Royal to get their lawyers to protest that, look, under the 1st April 1999 shareholders agreement, you ought to have engaged us before going ahead to sell this hotel. So whichever way you look at it, this deal cannot be in the national interest. Everything stinks about it. It's horrible.
And you say you give the president an ultimatum?
Yes, he has a few days.
You give the president an ultimatum?
These are our assets. These are hotels. I mean, sovereignty under our constitution resides in the people. The president himself, he knows, he understands the importance of demonstration. When people take time off all the things that they do to eke a living, and they spend the whole day on the streets. The president himself, he's led demonstrations. And one of his demonstrations, Komi Preku, led to President Rawlings. The man, he says that he wasn't a Democrat like he is. President Rawlings listened and suspended VAT after an Akufo-Addo-led demonstration. So President Akufo-Addo has no choice. If even a military ruler who later on converted and became a democratic leader listened to the people, thousands have poured onto the streets. The president must listen. He must suspend this deal. He must totally abort this deal. Look, all the other hotels that appear to be struggling now, it's a management issue. If you appoint the right people, look at the story of Labadi. When Labadi was making losses about 15, 16 years ago, and we then appointed a management company, Liberty, from South Africa, and they came in, and we said the locals should understudy them. That is a globally, renowned hotel management chain. So they came, managed it for 10 years. It became profitable. In the process, they had also transferred knowledge, expertise, and the locals took over. Do you know when the locals took over? Ghanaians took over Labadi Beach. They are even now making more profit. Last year, Labadi Beach Hotel made profit of 158 million when Rock City was making losses. Labadi Beach Hotel made 158 million. They are paying dividend 25 million. So let's adopt this model. Instead of selling, don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. Allow new management to come in, and you see how they'll turn the fortunes of the few struggling hotels around.
Has SHείμ invited you formally?
Yes, SHείμ has written formally. They have told us that they have commenced the investigations. They've asked me to stand by, that they may be inviting me any of these days. Have indicated that I am ever ready. Anytime I'm called, we've also intercepted more documents, so I'm working currently on an addendum to the petition, which will be submitted to SHείμ in the next few days. So we are cooperating. We're also working on the private members bill. We have also filed a number of questions and motions in Parliament to also demand accountability on this obnoxious transaction.
As we end, if there's one message you'd want to give to SNIT in lieu of all that has
Abusanfo native for any videos ne audios bi aba bonten a Okudzeto anya brepa enwo ne akofado so be man show down demonstration for fra so wa man time so amba bonten be reply no njankofo na onwo ne sangofo na onpeso moto esa state hotels because yen sika o that is amojeje na mode like modi sees hotels no taxes a mogye fi aban hɔ no mogye fi ɛyɛ temmufo no ɛnyɛ ne na mogye sɛ sika no ɛna yɛde si saa hotels no na waba aban mu a pɛ sɛ ɔkyerɛ sɛ saa hotels no wopɛ sɛ woyɛ ana atɔn ma ɛyɛ private business foɔ bi na ɔmo tim bɛ wòli saa ɛyɛ hotel brand no yɛ government hotels a ɔmonya profit fi ma sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ ɔmbɛtumi de abu ɔman no wopɛ sɛ woyɛ a na yɛdane private na muluti sika firi hɔ ɛno na Okudzeto Ablakwa aba abɔnten abɛblast ne yie paa ne nsɛm na ɔka no na kyerɛ sɛ ɛmu ɔwerɛm yie paa ɛlist hotels bi ɛne police barriers ɛne ɛyɛ some ɛyɛ doctors for bungalows ne adeade kyerɛ sɛ yɛtu ɔmo afiri baabi a ɔmo te no sɛ ɔmo nkɔ na saa bungalows no yɛde ama nkurɔfoɔ bi private business foɔ sɛ ɔmo ame release a ɛyɛ bungalows no ɛkyerɛ bi kɔ ɔmo tumi bubu no koraa mpo si ne ade foforɔ ɛno na ɛyɛ Okudzeto aba abɔnten abɛleki saa information with some fact bi ano ɔhyɛ yie paa bidi sɛ ɔte nsɛm bebree obɛtumi na ɔdwenkyerɛ kɔ comment sɛ obɛtumi nso ahyɛ ama ɔdamfo sɛ nyɛ bi ahwɛ ayɛ daily update Akroma.